Welcome, everyone. I am Enrique Acosta Gonzales, and I'm joined by Ashkan Tashvir. And in this episode, we will be speaking about the hidden power of vulnerability, why openness is essential for leadership success. And Ashkan, following our previous episode of vulnerability, I'm looking forward to expanding on this one.
Sure. Hello, Enrique, and hello, everyone. So vulnerability is one of those topics that no matter how much we talk about it, there's still more. Yeah, and beyond the intellectual side of it, um, and the empirical data that we gathered through the being profile assessment tool, um, on a daily basis, in many interactions that I personally have through my observations and through my conversations with others, as well as looking into the news, see what's going on in politics, what's going on in economy, and you can sometimes easily find the trace of unhealthy relationship with vulnerability. So let me tell you this story, this anecdote. I used to practice martial art, particularly karate kyokushin, yeah, which is a very harsh style of karate. When I was a teenager, and there was a time that I was so into it, and I would go to the dojo and I spend like 5 hours every other day, yeah, and I was very into this thing that will strengthen my body so that I can break wooden sticks and everything in my body, like including my neck, yeah. So like we would do that now. And when you go in through all those kind of practices, then and you're going to develop this sense of pride, let's say, and then you may go, "Wow, look at me! How strong and powerful I'm becoming." One of these days, after a very successful day in the dojo, um, I'm going back. I'm walking towards home. I had this bag that I put it on my side, and I've tried to yeah, pull the bag. It's like that, like it was here, and I was trying to pull it so that it doesn't fall off my shoulder, and I accidentally hit behind my ears, like something like this, very gentle. Enrique, for almost 15 minutes, I think, I was dizzy on the side of the street just by that. That had a massive influence on me, impact on me. I've realized how vulnerable actually we are. Yeah. And then, like I grew up and you zoom out and then you look into the adversities in life and catastrophes and hardships. And when you become realistic, and then you realize how vulnerable actually we are as human beings. Um, I often talk about this to say we are vulnerable to some microorganisms, viruses, that we can barely even see them. Like we're vulnerable to um, our angry neighbor, our cheating partner. We're vulnerable to our own self temptations and the desire for instant gratification and so on. So um, it's a rock solid truth that we are vulnerable. No, but not all of us live life from this viewpoint. We think that we can be in this pretense that I am not vulnerable. And that's going to create lots of different problems, yeah, including when you're going to, if you're up to big causes, if you're up to big ambitions that you may have as a leader, you need others, you need partnerships. You can't do it alone, yeah. And and in order for you to build relationships, you need to sometimes start with your vulnerabilities. You need to understand sometimes that um, in which areas you lack certain things, because the areas that you lack are the exact areas that you can build opportunities to partner with others. So often, for example, like when we work with entrepreneurs and they want to pitch their ideas or like their startup, they try to depict this very, very perfect picture of their team and what they're trying to achieve and how profitable that is going to be. And the thing is, if it's too perfect, then okay, so then go and then do it by yourself. So we want people that not only have those strengths and they have awareness around the strength, their strength, but also they know in which areas they have weaknesses, they lack, because those are the exact places that you can create opportunities around in partnering with others. So you want this other party to note that their contribution is valuable. And therefore, if you're depicting this inauthentic, perfect picture of yourself, you're not going to let that happen. So, how does it land to you, Enrique?
Well, I appreciate you sharing your story about your upbringing and the vulnerability in that one instance, right? And when we're talking about vulnerability, we're just not as conscious as we think we are when it comes to that word and how it plays into our life. My wife, for instance, did not know that she had a dietary limitation. And, we go into these holiday seasons and we eat fish. And in this case, there was tuna, and she almost died because she did not know that she had this vulnerability to something that she couldn't control. And when I think about her story, I just heard yours, and I think about the realization of vulnerability and how it plays into my daily workings in corporate, here in America. We're vulnerable to even the worker that decided not to come into work today
Yeah,
could literally set our agenda as a corporation to the side.
yeah,
and
that's correct.
and we're so vulnerable in so many in so many different ways. But how do we get to the point, right? And this is where we're coming into the conversation. How do we get into the point where we have a real honest conception
Mhm.
and realization of the vulnerabilities around us?
Yeah, so no, I definitely see what you mean. Now, I think that from this part of the conversation, let's make the conversation a little bit more tangible, concrete. Because at the end of the day, we human beings are self-interested. So let's discuss, if you agree, Enrique, what's in it for us to be vulnerable? Because see, this is not a kind of a moral standpoint that this is how you ought to be. You may ask, why I need to be vulnerable. So yeah, so why do we need to be vulnerable?
Well, and from my perspective, vulnerability is an awareness of that you can't possibly control everything, that there is something apart from you and apart from your agenda in life that could truly put what we call a wrench into the totality of your plans. And so, why do we need to be vulnerable? That awareness of the fact that anything at any time can set us aside or can derail us or our plans, especially as we talk about the corporate setting, the business, you know, office workers, your agenda for your organization. Something as simple as the engagement of your people in your workplace can make you actually be vulnerable to the lack of it, right? Just as well as you are a benefactor of great engagement, right? So that's just one thing. But we have to be vulnerable, at least understand that we are vulnerable so that we can limit some of the stress in life, number one, because
Mm,
we understand that at any time things can change.
mm.
Also, it helps us as we develop, let's say, relationships, as we develop innovation in our workforce, right?
Yeah,
So being vulnerable allows you to have a wider understanding of how
yeah.
things can actually impact you, but also how flexible you could be to address those things.
So there's this argument like, okay, so let's make it, as I said, like as tangible as possible. What's in it for us? Everyone has things that they care about a lot. Yeah. So you have intentions, you so want them to fulfill. This is a phenomenological pattern. We can ask why, but let's not even go there. Like let's not even go there. Why is it that we all have things that we care about? We have volition, we have our will, intentions. We There are certain things that we put at the top part of our hierarchy of values. We so want them. So, and there's another um, phenomenological pattern, common human experience, that when we care about something so much, we actually want them to be fulfilled. Now, in order for us to fulfill the intention that we care a lot about, we actually need to be integrous. Um, we need to have the different bits and pieces within this machine, the cogs in the machine, the work, and that integrity is going to bring workability and effectiveness. Now, we can say that it's going to the more integrous you are, the more constituent parts in whatever system is that you need is working, then the higher chance, the higher probability that you're going to fulfill your intentions. Yeah. Now, this is the argument for transformation. So basically, you may have goals or intentions in one side, and then you have your existing values, like the things that you actually um your principles, let's say. Now if there is a objective value mismatch, as I'm going to call it in the book, if you have objective value mismatch, meaning that for example you want to become super wealthy, but then you cannot wake up in the morning and hold yourself to account, so that you're being lazy. You keep procrastinating. You live life from this viewpoint that life is occurring to you. You have no say in it. You don't even try to leverage your autonomy. You're not an active agent in life, but a passive victim. Yeah, that's how you relate to responsibility. Let's say, that's just an example. If you want to be super wealthy and you need to keep creating all these values and then you need to effectively communicate that to a group of people, let's say called market, in such a way that that market willingly and voluntarily are happy to tip to vote you in so that you can survive as this business, as this individual, and then you can grow. Let's say it like that. Now, if there is this massive objective value mismatch, you have no way but to actually look into the areas that you can address. Yeah. Now, there are a couple of ways. One, you can keep your existing value system. Yeah. And you go, I don't want to change. Yeah. If you want to keep being the way you are, how you are being, and still keep that goal or objective that you have, and there's a mismatch, you're being delusional. You're not going to get there. So, one way is to keep your existing values, forget about those objectives or goals or intentions that you have. Another way is to actually um, choose that no, I actually want these objectives, these intentions being fulfilled, but then be willing, be open that you need to go through transformation and change. Yeah. Now, my experience is many people most of the times, they actually choose neither of these two. They stand in the middle. They want to, they show inertia. They want to be the way that they are already, like they want to keep their existing principles in the way that they are. At the same time, they want to keep those ambitious dreams. Now, the thing is, like your dreams and ambitions are pulling you from one side, and your existing are values are pulling you from the other side, and you're going to stay in the middle, and you're going to experience the stress and pressure. Now, now, if we choose to keep our goals that we care so much about and are willing to change, willing to transform the way that we're relating to the world, our cognitive map, like how we relate to different concepts, yeah, so how we relate to money, let's say in this example, how we relate to taxation, how we relate to value creation, how we relate to being compassionate and making ourselves present to the burning pain of a group of people out there. What is needed out there in the world. So if you're willing to actually change and transform our cognitive model and mental models, for example, how you do things, you know, you may need to go through transformation of how exactly you operate, the way that you come up with your to-do list, the way that you hold yourself to account. There are certain things that you need to do, and how you do them strategically, yeah, are going to in great part are going to determine the results that you're going to generate. Yeah. So therefore, and then sometimes you need to change your narrative, and the stories that you create, the way that you interpret whatever is going on out in the world, so that you make them more authentic, more congruent. So therefore, there's so much in terms of transformation that needs to happen so that you become the person who deserve that bigger result, or those the fulfillment of those intentions that you have. Now, if you are at this point that you're choosing this pathway, the pathway of transformation, you have no way but to embrace your superpower, vulnerability. There's no other way, because you need to look inward instead of pointing fingers or anything. You need to look inward. I know that part of this conversation can be considered as cliche, but it's a cliche for a reason. We need to look inward. We need to look into our existing cognitive model, cognitive map, the way that we're relating to things, the way that we're interpreting the word, our mental models of how we do this and how we do that, and so on. Yeah, we may need to tap into other paradigms of thinking. What are basically that objective needs? So we need to look into ourselves, and we need to see the misconstructed parts. We need to look into the shadows. We need to look into the areas that are not actually contributing into our overall integrity, the integrity that we so need to be effective, to increase the probability of fulfillment of our intentions. If we look into those areas, and it takes courage, it takes bravery, it takes vulnerability, it it takes so much to actually look into those areas that most of the time we may choose to ignore, avert our gaze away from it, because shadows can be monstrous, ugly looking. We don't want to look into them. We don't want to confront the shadows. We don't want to integrate the shadows. We don't want to have anything to do with the shadows. So unless we go there, and unless we make the invisible visible, to ourselves at least, yeah, and not be in pretense, there is no pathway to transformation. And if there is no transformation, you're going to get stuck. You're going to be the way that you are, and very likely you're not going to become the person who deserves those greater results. So I think, I don't know how well I managed to articulate this, but this is one of the greatest things that I have learned myself throughout my career and all these studies that I've done. I think the person who gets that, yeah, this is the principle behind all these, um, this whole self-help book industry or self-help industry. Um, at the end of the day, as a human being, you can be so powerful and capable of learning whatever is required for you to achieve the things that you want to achieve. In the general sense, we can put it that way. But that is not going to happen. That change, the transformation, that's not going to happen unless you are truly vulnerable. Now, I'm going to have you contribute in this conversation. I want to see how this lands to you and what you have to add. But then the next bit is then it's perhaps good to talk a little bit about okay, so now if you're convinced that it's extremely crucial to be vulnerable, yeah, what sort of things get in the way? Yeah. What do you have to say, Enrique?
Yeah, no, I love the vulnerability talk, and it's true. You have to start at the point where you recognize where you're vulnerable, and also to use vulnerability. You mentioned it very well as a superpower. Use vulnerability to get you in position for your next goal or whatever it may be that you want to meet or exceed. But it does have has to begin with you being vulnerable. I agree.
Yeah. So I think in one of the episodes, I think it was the previous episode, we discussed like what gets in our way of becoming vulnerable. So we don't want to necessarily go into the depth of it, but um, sometimes I actually find it ridiculous. While we can clearly know what's in it for us to embrace our vulnerability. So it's not a rocket science. It's not like it's not something that we don't know. It's not something that we go, oh, like if I'm not being vulnerable, then that therefore that's going to serve me. No, at the end of the day, there are people out there, even if you don't reveal your vulnerabilities, with the equipped eyes, and then they're going to see it. You can't fully control the way that you carry yourself or you um, you know if you want to keep acting things out and position yourself as this perfect being. So it'll come out. Now, so yeah, so I find it ridiculous sometimes that while we know what's in it for us and so comprehensible, yet we dare to resist. Yeah. But then that's a very common pattern. That's a very, very common pattern. See, when it comes to the fabric of knowing, the way that we um, understand and make sense of the word. There are things, and these are the things that I've explained in my recent book, Meta Content, the intellectual substrates for sense making. So there are things that we know, or better to say, we know that we know. So, for example, I know how to speak English. Look, that's fair enough. And then there are things that we don't know, or we don't know. We know that we don't know. For example, I don't know how to speak French. Yeah, and you can go and you can get tutors. You can study. You can learn if you really need. There are things that you don't know that you don't know, and that's also referred to as double ignorance. Yeah, sometimes we don't really know that we don't know something. Again, if you're vulnerable enough, like a verse of poetry, an inspiration, um, listening to someone's talking on YouTube, a piece of text on a billboard, a conversation with a friend, or an expert in the field, it can actually bring your attention to those things that you don't know. And then you end up turning those to the things that now you know that you don't know. And then you can then go and understand. There are also things that we know, but we have misconceptions of. We have inauthenticities, incongruence. And that's fine again. Like if you're vulnerable enough and you go, and then you identify the misconstructed parts, and then you try to understand it better. There are, though, things that we so know well. We know them well, we understand them well, yet we rebel, we resist, we go against the current. We so know it, we know it very accurately, but we somehow think that we can exert our will and volition over that. And sometimes these things are firstly a reality elements, like your view doesn't really matter. Like, say, for example, the way, no, it doesn't matter how I relate to gravity or what my opinion is about gravity. It doesn't care. Like, gravity does its job. Now, if I want to be inauthentic and like I'm going to be the person who's going to be impacted. Now, and that's just an example. Yeah. So, yeah, so there are things that we know them so well, yet we rebel for whatever reason. Like sometimes we want to fit in, sometimes um we actually enjoy. Like these are really hard to explain sometimes, but I'm pretty sure we have a sense of it. Sometimes we actually enjoy that victimhood. Sometimes we enjoy this thing that now I'm keep insisting and trying, yet it doesn't work. Yeah, while we know what the solution is, and this is I think the part that it's extremely dangerous, and it gets in our way of growth. Yeah, when we don't want to deliberately, we don't want to be in acknowledgement. For example, you may know that this candidate to be on the board of the organization. So you may even know, like as a second candidate, you may know that this other candidate is way more qualified. You so know it, yet you want to compete. So, well, because you have interest in it, you want to get the job. Yeah. But if you are being truly vulnerable, you go, oh, you know what? Objectively, it's better for this other person to go. They'll go ahead and occupy that position, and I'll go and create something that it suits me better. And so, these are not moral stands. This is actually pragmatic stance. Because see, one big part of like the big part of this dysfunction that we deal with and experience is like people occupying positions that they don't deserve or they're not ready yet. They're not ready yet. So and that's one of the biggest problem now in the realm of leadership because leadership somehow, like some interpretation of leadership has turned extremely shallow in a sense that as if like it's like this is a kind of a role that a person needs to play. And if, of course everyone can play. No, a person who wants to be a leader should have gone through certain life experiences. It's not something you just study or you learn. You should have gone through certain um, um, kind of experiences in life and become that robust person who can withstand all of these difficulties and everything. Otherwise, you're going to break. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm suggesting you need to be a perfect leader and then you step in leadership. But you need to always gauge it. You know, is this? I mean, do I belong to this league at this stage, or I need to still do my homework to get there? Yeah. So, if for example you are quite um, new to martial art, like mixed martial art or like boxing or you don't want to right away after a few months of training. Yeah, you don't want to go and then stand in front of like Mike Tyson's of the world. The first punch, and you're going to be gone. Your career is over. So, and then like you want to gauge where you belong at this stage, and that doesn't mean that like I want anyone to feel that we're saying that we need to break our wings to fly. No, completely the opposite. In order for us to actually fly, we need to go through what it takes for us to be able to fly that high. And not discerning when to move in and when to adopt responsibilities. That's one of the biggest problems that I see. Now, sometimes we're oblivious, we just don't know, and that's understandable. But then sometimes it's deliberate. Like we know that we don't belong. We know that this is not our place. We know, but then yet we dare to occupy that. And I think, yeah, so just wanted to like in this hierarchy of knowing this last one that sometimes we know something quite exactly and authentically, yet for various different type of reason we may find that there's immediate interest for us or something. We actually are not in acknowledgement. We rebel against what we consider the truth, and that sometimes even lead to us violating our own principles and our own value structure, and that lead to a massive dissatisfaction down the track, because you're going to the most important consequence of that personally is going to be you're going to lose respect for yourself. So yeah, any final thing, Enrique, before we wrap it up?
As you was talking, I remember
Yeah.
vividly a situation that happened to me that it was exactly that. I was at the time very uh, propped up by senior leadership, and they put me in a position to lead a yearly evolution. Only happened once a year, and they put me in charge. There was another at the time senior chief, E8
Yeah.
in the military, that was my co-leader, right? But
Yeah.
they put me first, and they put her second. Within a week of the evolution, I knew she should have been first, and I maybe shouldn't have even been there. And I realized that, and I spoke to her about it, and she was like, "No, let's leave it the way it is. We'll get through it." But I'll tell you right now, she did it all. She did everything. She took care of everything. So obviously, she was the one that should have been at the head of the leading. And evolution went through. Everything was perfect. But your last statement there is that you'll lose respect for yourself. And I definitely felt inadequate by the end of all of that. Although the evolution was successful, I
Mm.
sure did not feel that way.
No, thank you. Thank you for actually being vulnerable, sharing that. Yeah, but see, the counterpoint to that would be the alternative to that would be like when we embrace that, like our vulnerability and then where we are at, and and then go through the preparations required so that then we can become. See, because um, we've talked about it before, where you're not just one person. You are a community of people distributed across the time. So you're constantly, because we keep talking about being, but it's not just being in halted in the spectrum of the time. You are in a constant state of becoming. And like Enrique before this conversation, after this conversation is not the same person, similar to me and perhaps our audience. I'm not saying that like this conversation is like a massive image. Any conversation, any moment that we are living our lives, and some more and some less impactful, but we're not the same person that we were like a week ago, a month ago, or a year ago, and so on. So and then at the end of the day, like who and how you are becoming is through the aggregation of all of these things that have been happening, and some part of it, like the source of it, and some part of it, some big part of it is like you have literally no say, and it's like there are matters way beyond our um will. So yeah, I mean, thank you for sharing that. If you agree, like we wrap this session up, and I hope, yeah, I hope that the audience enjoyed the conversation. And thank you, everyone. Thank you, Enrique.